Welcome to Cafe Conformity, where everyone fits in. Or else. Here, the unwritten rules dictate how you act, how you dress, and even how you drink your coffee. Why? Because this cafe is a perfect example of conformity in action.
May I get some ice cubes?
Let's take a look and see what happens when a newcomer gets thrown into the mix.
Hi. Wow, this place looks great.
Thank you.
Could I please get a pumpkin spice latte?
Actually, we usually only serve black iced coffee here.
Oh. Well, okay, I guess I could try one of those then.
Okay, coming right out.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's only $900.
Really?
Unethical though. Drinking coffee like that's so disruptive.
I know. What we are beginning to witness is a classic example of conformity. Before we get any further, what is conformity? If we were to define it, conformity is adjusting our behavior or thinking to coincide with a group standard. This can happen because of either normative social influence, which is when people want to fit in order to avoid rejection, or informational social influence, which is when people just assume that the group knows better. Now, as we saw in this clip, the newcomer conformed to ordering black coffee in order to fit in, when that's not really what she wanted. Interesting, but let's see what happens next.
You're fitting in so nicely now.
You see how the newcomer changed their behavior to match that of the group? That's conformity in action. So, why do we conform? As stated in psychology in everyday life, fish swim in schools, birds fly in flocks, and humans too tend to go with their group, to do what it does and think what it thinks. Behavior is influenced by social contagion. Now, the social contagion is not confined to just behavior. As humans, we also take on the emotional tones of those around us, their expressions, postures, and voice tones. We tend to mimic those we like, and to like those who mimic us. Now, as we saw in the cafe, our newcomer was quick to mimic those around her, as she wanted to fit in and be liked by her peers. She adjusted her posture, even changed the way she drank her coffee. To better understand this idea of conformity, we can look back to Solomon Asch's original research from 1955. To test this idea, Asch designed a simple test, the line comparison. As a participant in what you believe was a study of visual perception, you were seated in a group with 5 other people. The experimenter would then ask the group members to state, one by one, which of the 3 comparison lines is identical to the standard line. Visually, the answer is very clear, which you state when your turn comes, just as everyone else does. Now, as the rounds progress, you can still see very obviously which lines match. However, the other participants all seem to be choosing, in unison, a different line. What you, as a participant, don't know is that the other participants are actually confederates, or actors, purposefully giving the wrong answer to see if it affects the way you answer. Asch measured the number of times each participant conformed to the majority. On average, about 32% of the participants placed in this situation went along and conformed with the clearly incorrect majority on the critical trials. Now, why did these people conform so easily? When they were interviewed after the experiment, the majority had said they did not really believe the answers they were giving, but had answered incorrectly for fear of not fitting in. and a few of them even stated that they did believe the group's answers were correct. This again proves that people conform for two main reasons. They either want to fit in, or they genuinely believe the group is better informed than they are.
In Ash's experiments, these students experienced this self-conflict. When answering questions alone, they were wrong less than 1% of the time. However, when several other accomplices or actors answered incorrectly, what would happen then? Ash found that more than a third of the time, these students were willing to go along with what the group would say and answer incorrectly. Now, these experiments reveal that we're most likely to conform when we're made to feel incompetent or insecure, or in a group with at least 3 people, know that the group is going to be observing our behavior or admire the group's status and attractiveness. Now, we're most likely to conform when everyone in the group agrees. If just one person out of that group disagrees, we'll almost surely disagree. Now, let's put that to the test and see what happens in our cafe if just one of our members disagree.
You know what? Flip this! I like my pumpkin spice lattes.
Actually, that doesn't sound too bad.
Though this gentleman was once a conforming member, as soon as one of the members decided they did not agree with the other's decision, he felt more comfortable breaking the group norm. This is a clear example of how conformity is not always rigid. Rather, it is influenced by the perception of group consensus. When people see even one other person challenging the status quo, it reduces the pressure to conform and allows them to express their own opinions more freely.
Now that we have a pretty good understanding of the idea of conformity, how can we apply this to our everyday lives? Conformity isn't always bad. It can help us to navigate social situations like laughing at a joke everybody else finds funny, or dressing professionally at work because it's expected. It can even just be something as simple as standing in a line at the grocery store because that's what everyone else is doing. However, conformity can also lead to some harmful behaviors, things such as bullying someone just because the rest of the group is doing it, or maybe even just agreeing with a bad idea at work in order to avoid conflict, or ultimately just ignoring your own personal values in order to fit in with the group.
So, what did we learn today? Conformity can be helpful in maintaining order, but it's important to stay true to yourself. Understanding conformity helps us balance fitting in with standing out, allowing us to navigate social situations without losing our individuality. While blending in can create harmony, blind conformity can suppress creativity, critical thinking, and even moral judgment. The key is to recognize when conformity is beneficial and when it's limiting, because sometimes the courage to stand apart is what drives change, progress, and true authenticity.
You know what? Maybe I'll have the spiced pumpkin latte. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah.
I don't know how to make those.